Okay, sports, movies. What about a talk show host?
Talk show host, that's good.
I think I'd be good at that. I talk to people all the time. Someone even told me once they thought I'd be a good talk show host.
Really?
Yeah, a couple of people. How do you get that, though? Where do you start?
Well, that's where it gets tricky.
You can't just walk into a building and say, I want to be a talk show host.
I wouldn't think so.
It's all politics.
And that was my exact thinking when I started a sports show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined, as usual, by my cohorts, Russ Stevens on my left and Uncle Joe McLaughlin on my right. Well, as usual, it's a busy week in Boston sports. Let's kick right into it. Let's start with the Patriots. And is the big fatty gone? Vince Wilfork today announced through Twitter that the Patriots are not picking up his option, that he will be leaving the Patriots, and thanked them in a very genuine, nice way, thanking the fans and the organization for the 10-plus years on the Patriots. My question for you is he gone?
I think so. I think it was the easiest decision that Belichick will make this offseason. You know, you got a guy who's aging, coming off an injury, but mainly he's a run stopper in a league that doesn't run as much anymore. He plays what? What do you think? He plays 1-2 snaps a series, Joe?
Well, last year he played 75% of the snaps.
We know which way that was going.
Silva Salinga was out for the first half of the year. He was kind of forced into double duty. But
he played really well last year.
I thought he played well. Yeah.
Right.
Now, by the way, they didn't stop the run. They were not a great run-stopping team last year. So he played well for a guy coming off 320 pounds coming off an Achilles. But he's not the player he used to be.
Yeah, he used to rush the passer.
That's
he used to get a couple of sacks. He used to get a couple of sacks this season and stuff.
He'd bump into an interception.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
See, I think that Belichick, what's clear to me that's going on in this defense is he's looking for guys who can play 3 downs. Right? You think about the linebackers, they got rid of Brandon Spikes. They're going to get rid of Mayo. They got rid of Wilfork. All the guys on that Ninkovich plays every down.
Yeah.
Right?
95%.
Hightower, Collins, Chandler Jones. Those guys play every down. That's what Belichick wants in his defense. Dominic Easley will be the guy they'd like to put into Wilfork's spot.
Yeah, they'll have to go. You know, they've already transitioned to the 4-3 out of the 3-4 anyways. And the smaller, faster guys like Easley work better in that.
But I don't know if there's any market for Vince. You know,
I think there is.
You think there is? I mean,
absolutely.
If you're in a division where there's some big-time running backs, you know, you'd want Vince. NFC East with DeMar Murray comes back. You got the kid Alfred Morris. There's some good running backs in that. Somebody will take a shot at Vince.
And just look at our division, Miami. He's from Miami. They could use someone. You know Rex
Ryan, he's just going to do it for the PR here, right?
He's a 3-4, the Ryan family. Everyone in the Ryan family is a 3-4.
Acquired McCoy from the Eagles, which people cannot believe. Poor Philadelphia fans. I mean, they're angry and bitter just when they wake up in the morning and say hello. Forget now that McCoy's gone. Oh, my God.
See, I think they're coming after us next. I think Chip Kelly's coming after us, and he's coming after McCourty and Reeve. I think Chip wants to do exactly on his defense what Belichick, one of his mentors, did last year in his own defense.
Okay, well,
he's coming after it.
Well, I'll make a prediction. I say Wilfork stays.
And you would be wrong.
No. All right, that's what it is.
Wrong.
I say he stays. I think he tests the market. I don't think he's going to go anywhere and they'll all be one-year deals anyways. He's only going to end up ultimately playing one season for one team, and then I don't think he wants to go on that. I think Bianca.
I'm sure they gave Bianca something. There is a contract on the table.
Bianca and Vince don't move too quickly. The idea of moving at all is going to tax very heavy on them. I don't see them leaving.
Steve Nelson got in a lot of trouble with this line.
But I think that he stays.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
We'll see.
That's the beautiful thing about sports.
Yeah. So Devin McCourty. Now the franchise, not Devin McCourty, which everyone thought they were going to do, but Stephen Gostkowski, the field goal kicker, which they've actually done before. They've done twice before with Adam Vinatieri, which was a surprise to me. Now McCourty's going to be in the market on Saturday at 4 o'clock. Does McCourty end up on the Patriots, or does he go somewhere else?
I think he's going to attract some very big money but I think he would also take the hometown discount. I think he's very loyal. Belichick and him are very tight. He made him the captain his sophomore year. He made him the captain of the team.
I think
they're
McCourty.
tight.
I think he's right. I think he's
gone.
You think he's gone
I
too?
think he's
gone.
gone. I think he's gone. I think Belichick probably thinks I got 2 or 3 guys on the roster that could play a decent enough free
Kyle
safety. I think in order of I think he's got to sign. I think he knows he's got to sign Revis. He has no replacement for Revis. He does have replacements for McCourty. You could move Browner to free safety, right? Your boy Browner,
No,
right?
no, but Brown's
I
going
don't
to cut
think he
too.
could.
No, right? I mean,
No, I don't think
he's
so.
only making $2
Browner
million.
doesn't make that much
but
money.
I think he's got guys who could play free safety for him. He doesn't have anybody who can play cornerback like Revis.
I'd be sad if McCourty left. I think McCourty
I'd be sad,
is,
but
you know,
given a choice, you'd choose Revis.
oh, well, that's where we
Right.
segue into. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've cut Woolfolk. We have, cut basically McCourty. All right.
Yeah.
So are we signing Revis before Saturday?
That's a great question. It's going to be scary if we
There's
don't.
a big at the start of the league season. They owe him 1/4 of that contract up front.
Because now if they keep Revis, they would have to pay him ultimately $25 million this year.
Yeah, one thing I heard, which was actually interesting, is you cut enough salary elsewhere, you invoke the clause in Revis's contract, so you retain your negotiating rights, and then you get to the long-term contract, but you don't let him hit the market because it's going to be scary around here. If Revis goes onto the market and McCourty goes onto the market,
Oh yeah,
every day we're going to be
they
reading
could be
stuff.
devastated.
And the Jets or the Bills.
Everyone wants
sign
to
him?
muck around with Belichick.
But the Patriots really, I mean, we don't care if he goes, to San Francisco.
Don't care.
No, we don't care, right?
Right.
We care if he goes to
the Jets.
or the Bills, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even be happy if he went to the Dolphins. Dolphins have the best other team in the division right now. They're the
They have
closest
the best
to beating
quarterbacks.
us, right?
Yeah, but they really haven't been in the question as far as who he might go to.
Right.
It looks like the Jets are going to have a big push for him if he ends up being a free agent. He's played there before. Rex
Yeah, I don't think he's
Ryan,
going- I
would
don't
love
think
to
he's going to
sign
the Jets.
Woolfolk, McCourty. They have.
There's no one. I
Revis.
don't see Revis going to the Jets. There's no one there for him. Like if Ryan was there, I could see him going, but I don't see him going to just a bad team
The
without
Bills
a
might
coach
be up
that
against the salary cap
And they
themselves.
might be
They're
up
paying
against
the
agree.
defensive end that huge salary.
Mario Williams.
The
Yeah,
fans
Mario
don't
Williams.
care about the salary cap. The normal fan, we don't care about the salary cap. We want Revis back. If
We
Revis is
absolutely
not
do.
back, that is a huge PR hit. I know we're Super Bowl champions, and I love it. I watch it every week just to remind myself. But that's a huge PR hit.
That would be the only loss I would be wounded by.
Yeah.
Right.
Really
Yeah,
wounded
Yeah,
by.
that's a great
Right.
point.
That would
Yeah.
be the one thing that I would feel.
I don't
God,
think they can
we just-
recover from.
Yeah, it's going to be because we sat through 10 years of horrible defensive backfield play.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence we didn't win a Super Bowl for 10 years because every 3rd and 9, we were still 3rd and 18. You'd sit there and like, oh yeah, they got a 75% chance of converting.
Everyone went on 4th down because
Oh, it was horrible.
They didn't
we can't
have
have
to run
that
that.
again.
But it's a Revis cloud, too, that hangs over the organization's
Absolutely.
head the whole season. Oh, we lost this game. Well, we wouldn't have lost that game if Revis
Absolutely.
was there,
Yeah.
right? So that's the problem
Right.
of losing a guy like him.
I
so,
agree.
all right, prediction time. Okay, we know you've said Woolfolk is gone. Fine. Is McCourty gone? Is he on the team next year?
I believe he's not on the team.
You believe he's...
I believe he will be.
Okay, Revis. Is Revis on the
Yes.
team? Revis is on the team.
Yes.
Okay. And then we can build from there.
Yeah.
If you have Revis, we're happy campers, right?
Yeah.
And
That's
you feel
right.
like safeties you can draft in the third,
Safeties
fourth
you can
round,
draft. You can
right?
replace
I mean,
Will Fork. You can draft defensive tackles. They got enough guys. You can go sign a defensive tackle to be with Saliga to play some nose guard for you.
And you
You're
don't know
okay.
what you're really
Yeah,
getting with
we
Woolfolk
haven't
anyway.
even
You
seen
have
what they're
no
going to do
idea.
in the free agent.
That's right.
Free agency right now. Before the draft comes, if you fill enough of your holes in free agency, then you can have the luxury in the draft of taking best player available or going after one position, like offensive line or defensive
Totally
line.
agree. Yeah.
Look, NFL football used to be just the season now.
No, it's all
but
year.
there's
They
a
took-
hot stove
It was about
league.
3 weeks off we took, and now we're right back into it.
Right? I mean, yeah,
right back into it.
There's
Because
a
we got the
reason there's
draft.
an NFL network.
Yeah.
I mean, this can carry
Yeah.
over. We're talking football in March, and that usually doesn't happen, right? I can't
That's right.
remember.
Usually it's all Red Sox by now.
All Red Sox
All
by
Red
now.
Sox.
Yeah.
Well, let's segue not into the Red Sox, but we'll get there. Let's segue into the Celtics. Now, guys, I'm 49 years old. I was brought up, of course, in the 70s and 80s. And the most hated player that I hated more than anyone in sports in the 1980s was Isaiah Thomas. That dirty rat Fink, I hated him more than anyone. That little phony smile, everything about him, right?
He's smarmy.
Was just, so now all of a sudden, here comes 2015, and the Celtics acquire a guy named Isaiah Thomas.
Spelled differently, though.
Well, doesn't matter. I'm pronouncing it Isaiah Thomas, and he's a phenomenon. He was Eastern Conference player.
Yeah, but I'm gonna. Here's the
pump the
hang on,
brakes
hang on.
here.
I'm gonna call you on this though, because I watched this show 2 weeks ago when I wasn't here, and I quote, "We can't figure out what's Danny Ainge doing."
But I'll tell you, everyone's saying he's the second coming. He's shooting 37% from the floor.
But he's a terrific player.
No,
He's
Joe.
a
Come,
terrific
no, come
player.
on. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? We
He's
have not
shooting
had
20.
a guy who instant offense like this. We haven't had a guy who he's a good point guard. He drives. He's Tiny Archibald. I mean, Tiny Archibald, who was a huge contributor.
He's doing a great job with Crowder and Jonas. The wingmen are really eating up his
Look,
drives
I think
to the
he's a
basket.
terrific player. Look, we could, if we had Isaiah Thomas all year instead of Rondo, we would be 3 games ahead for that 8th spot in the playoffs, at least.
Absolutely.
Because how many games
I'll
could
buy
we
that,
not close out in the fourth quarter or not give the ball to somebody in the fourth quarter to get a score?
He at least pushes the action. He doesn't sit back and let it come
He's
to
the
him.
face of the organization now. He's been there 2 weeks, and that's
really
all
is.
that anyone cares about is Isaiah
he's
Thomas,
terrific.
right? I mean, who would you rather have right now, Isaiah Thomas or Rajon Rondo?
There's no question. There's no question.
And Thomas is like a $7 million player for the next 4 years,
It was
guys.
an absolutely brilliant deal.
And they gave away this bloated Marcus Thornton.
And by the way,
His old assistant GM.
yeah, right. And
in
right.
a-
Oh, that's
in
what
a-
we'll talk
in a-
about.
in a
Yeah, in a
crummy
second.
pick. But the other trade that's working out is this kid Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player.
Yeah, right.
Nice
and
little
by the
wing.
way,
Yeah.
not clear to me whether Rajon Rondo or Jay Crowder is the better player in that deal.
Yeah.
If you had
Right.
traded him straight up for Jay Crowder, we wouldn't even be so. Ainge is, to the question the other day, what is Ainge doing? Near as I can tell, he's trying to collect good basketball players.
And he almost had the 7-footer, but that fell
Right.
apart today,
Yeah,
I guess.
McGee. He almost acquired McGee. Yeah, but
Knucklehead.
he's a knucklehead. Absolutely.
knucklehead.
So now, Danny Ainge seems to be most successful in his trading when he trades with friends. So he's taken Kevin
What's
McHale.
that?
Now
Words
enemies.
with friends or something
Right,
like that?
exactly. Is Danny Ainge really Ryan McDonough?
Well,
Kevin
if you
McHale's
have
friend?
by the way, if you have a lot of friends, you could do that.
Yeah, he needs more friends in
He
the
needs
league,
more
right?
friends.
Yeah, I mean,
Get Larry Bird back in Indiana, and we can take them to the cleaners, too.
Yeah,
That's
can we
right.
get Robert Parrish a front office job?
yeah, right.
Scott Wedman.
Oh my God! Yeah. The whole Mormon Tabernacle Choir. We need them all there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, the best deals he's made have been
Yeah.
guys that he has personal relationships with. And the Ryan McDonough deal that he made for the Phoenix
Didn't
Suns, that
seem to
could get
make
him
sense.
fired. I mean, that is
Who, Ryan McDonough?
Ryan McDonough. He could get
Well,
fired on that
but
deal. That
you
was
know what's
very
interesting
glaring.
though that there was a lot of national talk after that deal where it was it was a crapshoot as to who got the better of that deal because there were a lot of national people who don't like Thomas because he's worn out his welcome. But I think we've seen a kid who can play some. Is a charismatic basketball player.
And he was blowing up the team, it seemed, there in Phoenix.
right.
He
No
was-
one can. I can't figure out what they're doing.
But
out
he
there.
energized the Celtics.
Absolutely.
He energized the fan base.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that they made that deal, that Ainge made that deal just as much for this season to compete to keep Brad Stevens
I
as
totally
coach.
agree. And this is the question I would have off of that. So stars attract stars, especially in the NBA. Who's the star of this team?
Isaiah Thomas.
No,
Or Marcus Smart.
I'll give you one.
I would have said
I
that.
say the star of this team, the guy they want to be the star of this team is Brad Stevens.
Right.
I
yeah,
think
no, you're right.
I
You're
think
right.
the best
Almost like a
reason
college
why,
thing.
absolutely the
Yeah.
best reason to make a playoff run and to see if Brad Stevens can win a series against Atlanta or at least win 2 games or take him to Game 7 is Brad Stevens looks to be the kind of guy that can attract other players. Brad Stevens is the star of this team.
You're absolutely right. That's a great point.
It's
I
not
didn't
Marcus
think about
Smart.
that.
It's
Absolutely.
not Isaiah Thomas yet. I mean, he could be, and he's a nice player. But this whole thing to me is about Brad's. I think Danny Ainge gets it. I think he's saying, I want my guy to get into the playoffs.
Well, Danny's worked him pretty hard this year. He's given him 22 different plays.
Oh,
and
I mean, he's making him earn it.
He's earning his money
And
this year.
Stevens has complained in the press about this. I don't know who's going to show up
Yeah,
today
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So he's saying stuff to Danny indirectly.
How about that play call last night? Because we criticized Stevens earlier in the year that he wasn't anywhere near as good as Doc coming out of timeouts.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a play last night.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought he held on to the ball too long and spinning it out.
That was the first time Zellers had ever made a game-winning
He ran a play
shot.
for Tyler Zeller last night.
No, and now it's all coming together for the Celtics, and that's
It's
why I
really
bring
fun
it
to
up.
watch.
Yeah.
It was a nice pass in. He just
It was a
looped it
beautiful
right in his
pass.
hands. Yeah.
No, I hope they make that run. I actually did want them to get McGee because I thought he could be useful for 10 minutes. I would love to see them
For the
get that
playoffs,
eighth
he would have
spot.
been very useful.
I would love to see him get that 8th spot.
Now, continuing this with the Celtics, our friend Jared Sullinger, who is apparently maybe the face of the organization to some extent, he's out with another stress fracture. Okay, that's 2 out of 3 years in the NBA that he has not played but more of a half of the season. Okay, so they were doing the team photo, guys, a week after he got put on the disabled list, and apparently that's when he had that moment where he realized he was fat.
Yeah,
Because
because he's never seen himself on TV before.
Yeah,
then.
he says the excuse was it's hard to work out when you can't run or anything.
Yeah. That's when he finally realized. And then Danny Ainge actually says on the air, Sullinger needs to get into better shape. We're not happy with his conditioning.
Right.
That's why he's getting injured. I say, what's the future of Jared Sullinger? Is he with the Celtics next year, or they try to peddle him?
Well, power forwards are a hard commodity to come by. You can't just get them willy-nilly.
But is he going to get it?
I have serious doubts about him,
Yeah.
because all you read when these situations, remember, he was late, there was a little bit of a domestic violence issue, and all you read is he's a coach's son and his father brought him up right, and then Jared comes out and he'll do a little, you'll get a little tear in his eye and he'll apologize. This just keeps happening. Yeah. If it's not one thing with this guy, it's another.
He does say the right things, but is he sincere?
But his behavior doesn't reflect what he's saying anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Sullinger.
I used to be bought in completely on him, and now I think it's a 50. To answer your question, I don't know. I think if Danny Ainge could get another young power forward back, make a trade for a trade, guy for a guy, power forward for a power forward, he'd do it.
So the NBA, of course, the master and the king of the NBA is LeBron James. I don't know if you saw this week that LeBron James, I think we have the footage of it, he was kicked in supposedly the groin by James Harden. If we have this footage, 6'9", 250-pound James Harden apparently kicked him. Do we have the footage? Kicked him in the groin. And here, let's watch this.
James Jones guarding at the top. LeBron
So you see Harden and
double.
LeBron.
A lot of contact going for the ball. What do we have here?
And
LeBron already has.
I think there was some embellishment there, though.
That's,
Jimmy Jones and LeBron are
look at that. Are you kidding me? Look at LeBron.
Yeah, it's embellishment.
Embellishment? Are you kidding me? He is the biggest phony that's ever been in the NBA, right? And then they suspended him for a game because we all know, all men out there, none of us are grimacing at all because we know he wasn't hit in the groin.
There's getting kicked in the groin, and then there's getting kicked in the groin.
Because if he was hit in the groin, if I was hit in the groin by James Harden, right, they would rush the court. The doctors would put a curtain, and they would euthanize me right there.
As if you were a soccer player.
But it was a 3-year-old girl move by Harden with that little
But
phony kick.
see, that's what's wrong with the NBA, because he's the king of the NBA.
Yeah.
He is the face of the NBA. And he pulls that phony crap. Is he kidding?
See, Kobe would never do that.
Michael Jordan would never do that. Larry Bird would never do that, right? Because if you really got kicked in the groin like that,
Danny Ainge would have grabbed him by the foot and bitten.
and that's what, right, exactly.
Except remember though, Ainge got bit. Ainge will tell you to this day that half the people in the world think that he bit Tree Rollins. He actually got bit by Tree Rollins.
Yeah, right.
Tree Rollins still says he bit him too.
Yeah, right,
exactly.
And the guy's name is Tree Rollins.
Exactly.
Just bizarre. But
No, you're right. The soccer mentality has crept into the NBA amidst some of these superstars where the embellishment has gone on.
They've said they were going to do something about this. They were going to review the tapes, and the next day the guy was going to get fined or whatever. Only this time,
it's
the
LeBron.
instigator.
But to suspend
It's
him
the
for a
meal ticket.
game after that farce,
It's
it's
the meal
got to be
ticket. By the
kidding.
way,
But
the guy who got
Harden-
suspended is going to probably be the MVP this year.
He's
Yeah,
in the
right.
running, 1, 2, or 3.
He's one of the faces of the
Absolutely.
NBA. And,
Yeah.
Curry will probably get it, but Harden will be a very close second.
Yeah.
and that's why I hate LeBron. And then, I was kind of getting a little soft for LeBron. Nah, maybe he's not so hateable. No, he's back to being the #1 most
Public
hated.
enemy for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Except Danny Nav is
A-Rod.
second. Brandon Brown is third. I'll go on. All right, so we segue to the Boston Red Sox. We always talk about the spring training questions, and one of the questions have cleared up. Our boy Castillo, Resny Castillo, or the $72 million man, apparently has come up with an oblique injury, guys. Have you heard this? Yeah. And he's now out indefinitely.
Indefinitely. With
Indefinitely.
the oblique.
Yeah.
At first, it was only day to day, and then he was reevaluated, and they said maybe Victorino needs to be all alone in right field.
Well, I have to say, I've been reading between the lines on some of the reports and about, wow, there might be some doubt creeping into people's heads about Castillo. And that contract, to your point, puts them in a tough position. Right? So this is a
absolutely.
very convenient
guaranteed
way
money,
to have him go get some at-bats in, Tulsa or something, right?
Right? I mean, only baseball players have obliques, right?
Right.
We don't even know. Edelman gets concussed like twice during a game, and we don't even know, and he still plays. But the baseball players are about 6 weeks over an
With
oblique.
a tweaked oblique.
Is this really just we want to send him to Pawtucket, right?
I would think so,
Yeah.
or to give Victorino a chance, get him some at-bats, build his trade value.
You think they're regretting this?
No,
sign right
as
now
I said,
already? The Castillo sign?
I don't know if they're regretting it, but he may be accelerated a little bit too quickly through the system.
Yeah. Well, they just want to put out the little firestorm that Victorino is
Or find a way to
created.
keep Daniel Nava on the roster.
Oh my God! No, I'll give you. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
our
I mean, that could be
priority.
it, 'cause
Because I'm really worried about that 25th man right now.
Well, he's a versatile guy.
Daniel Nava.
Jonathan Kraft says the 53rd man is just as important.
That's right.
Now, Major League Baseball, so screwy with the whole DH rule in the American League, non-DH rule in the National League. But I want to remind you guys that opening day is coming up, and the Red Sox are away against the Philadelphia Phillies, which means they'll be facing Cole Hamels if we don't acquire him, which means that Big Papi, the face of the major leagues, may not play that game.
Crazy.
Think about that.
Yeah, crazy. And you don't want to put him at first, because the worst thing to do is you stick him at first base. He pulls a oblique. He strains an
You're
oblique,
right.
stretching for a ball, and you've got our DHs out for 6 weeks to start the season.
And
You
he's the
can't
biggest
play him.
star in baseball.
Yeah, and Big Papi is saying that he doesn't want to play first base anymore. He's muffing
don't
off
blame him,
every
though.
game right now, every day, but he doesn't want to play first base anymore. So you're going to have the opening series of Major League Baseball, and Big Papi's going to be on the bench maybe 2 out of 3 games. They've got to change that rule, right?
It's a silly rule.
I mean,
they're playing each other all the time. There's an interleague game every day.
Especially opening day should be in your division, if nothing else.
Well, but the way they've done the schedule now, once they move that team into the American League, you have to have an interleague game every day, or else the schedule doesn't work.
yeah.
So I agree with you. Now that you're playing literally every single day, you can look in a box score and see an interleague game. You've got to now change this rule.
John Lester, who now is the Cubs, they're spending, $160 million a year? He's never
Never
gotten
had
a
a
hit.
hit.
He's like
Yeah.
0 for 38.
I predict that Manfred, the new commissioner, is going to change that rule sometime in the night. He's not going. By the way, I wouldn't take that on as the first thing out of the gate if I were him.
Yeah,
because it's
that's-
not going
that's
to be
a
a
too
you're
big
gonna-
a controversy.
You're going to be angering half the world when you do that, but he will force that through.
They're doing rule changes supposedly all over baseball now. They're thinking now that this week, the new one is that they will no longer allow teams to shift defensively.
Good luck on that one.
I mean, is that the Big Papi rule? I mean, does Big Papi have that much pull that?
The Ted Williams rule, the Babe Ruth rule, they all had shifts.
But should they just talk to Big Papi before they think about changing any rule? Because
Well,
now
he's the assistant commissioner,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. When you talk about rules, you know how they mentioned that he had to stay in the box?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they've changed that this week. I don't know if you heard.
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can basically dance around,
Right, it's only a taken pitch. You
Only
only
a
have to
taken
get if you
pitch.
take it.
Right.
Right.
So if
After you
there's a
foul
foul
it off.
ball.
Yeah, he can
or
go
if
sit down in the dugout and have a cigarette if he fouls one off, apparently.
But so right, they're changing already.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're backtracking.
Well, they're gonna go slowly on these things because they move at a glacial pace, anyways. But yeah, Manfred's look. If he turns out to be the kind of commissioner that Silver is in the NBA, we're in good shape. right? And,
Right,
so just come in, start to push this thing in the right direction. Don't do it too fast. Try to shave some time off, tweak things here and there.
Are we gonna have a team in Las Vegas in the NBA?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah, they were going to have one in the NHL. They might as well. I mean, come on, gambling's everywhere. DraftKings.com.
Yeah,
that's
it's
in
all.
every.
They advertise in the Celtics games. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a joke. I want to mention a couple of things. Of course, I couldn't go a week without mentioning the guy I just love, A-Rod. And I read this week, because the circus is continuing to be in town, the Yankees, that he's now taking hitting tips from Barry Bonds. You couldn't
really?
write this stuff.
No, you
up.
can't write that. any
Seriously.
better. Yeah.
I mean, is this just a guy who just doesn't get it no matter what?
He really does. Every time he opens his mouth now, he's the kind of guy, he opens his mouth, you want to punch him in the face.
Everyone's waiting to pounce every time he opens his
he
mouth.
can't.
now.
That poor guy can't say anything, can't do anything.
He couldn't
and
give
get
the
away with it.
Gettysburg Address, and then everyone
That's a
would
great
jump on
point.
him.
That's a great point.
You're
yeah.
right. No, you're right. Absolutely,
Seriously.
yeah. But I mean, when we talk about Major League Baseball and who the faces are of baseball, they want the guys to be the Buster Posies, the Andrew McCutcheons. But who does everyone still talking about in spring training? The number one topic is
It's still
A-Rod.
A-Rod.
Major League Baseball wants him gone. I
Yes,
mean,
absolutely.
how do you eradicate
Well, now,
this
you
guy?
told
Look
us-
at that! Look
you
at that
told us
phony
earlier.
smile. Is he serious?
You told
Trying
me,
to be
you
cute.
mentioned earlier, though, that there's another mentor-mentee relationship that's burgeoning around here, and that's with Clemens
And
and
Buchholz.
Buchholz. So
Yeah.
apparently Buchholz's mentor is Roger Clemens?
Right,
Is
so-
does anyone think that's a good idea? Does anyone think that's a good idea?
Yeah, no.
Two such different pitches, two such different body types, two such different attitudes.
Guys, I truly
I don't
believe.
see a common ground there at all.
Look, they don't know what they're to do to increase the offense. They wish that someone in the science room could come up with something that they couldn't detect.
Yeah.
They need something to happen. So look, they're embracing it. Theo Epstein, our Brookline boy in Chicago, he just brought back Manny Ramirez as a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
Special hitting instructor.
who got suspended twice, right? He's been
After he got suspended,
And he is still
twice
suspended.
After,
Yeah, that's right.
Right, he is. That's right. He got suspended twice after he got busted.
Yeah.
He's in double secret probation,
Yeah,
right? As
He's in
Animal
a
House would
box.
say.
He's in the hole.
So really, in some level, and so like a Hall of Fame voters, at some point, if we're all of a sudden hearing names like Clemens back in, Mark McGuire is a batting coach for the Cardinals, at some point, are we going to start having steroids guys get into the Hall of Fame?
I think
Well,
so
yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, if they allow them back into the game, like they've never allowed Pete Rose back in any capacity.
Right. Which is that's a
See, here's
travesty.
my
They
problem
should
with this
let
right now
quarterbacks.
is my problem is statistically speaking, there absolutely are steroid guys in the Hall of Fame as
Oh,
it
yeah.
stands now. And that's the thing that's sort of indefensible about it is, I'm not in favor of the steroids. I think I agree with Bob Ryan where you put him in, you put an asterisk, or you put him into a wing and say, look, this was an era in baseball. This is the kind of stuff that happened. These are the guys who made the Hall of Fame from this era. Right. And
But
let
why
people draw
can't
their
they
own
take the
conclusions.
steroids? They're in the entertainment business.
I know.
Movie stars have plastic surgery
Well,
up and down.
I agree with you.
I don't agree with
to
you.
some
If they-
level. Yeah, exactly.
If they want to, sacrifice their bodies to entertain me, God bless.
I agree with
God
you.
bless.
All right, well, that's another
It's a
topic for
slippery
next
slope.
week, but we got to
It's
go.
a slippery slope.
That's another show. That went quick.
Yes, it did.
Want to thank everyone behind the scenes for all your great help. Want to thank, of course, Russ and Joe. Make sure to check us out on the web, thegrandstanders.com. That's another episode of The Grandstanders. My name's Scott Kerman. Have a great night.